Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting Heavyweight Derrick Mehmen. Derrick, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Derrick, you got a fight coming up September 14th at World Series of Fighting 5. How's training been going for the fight?
It's been going great. Been training up here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa with Team Hard Drive. Kind of a little different training camp. Usually I'm with the American Top Team, but under circumstances I had to be in Iowa, and all in all, it's going well, though. It's going real good.
Mm-hmm. Is that personal reasons, or is that, mixed martial arts related? Just
personal reasons.
Oh, I see. But you're still with American Top Team. Everything's good there. It's just you had to go up to Iowa to take care of business?
Yep. Everything's good there, though. So.
Okay. Just curious, who are some of the guys that you're working with to help you get ready for this fight?
I'm working with Steve Carl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a bunch of up-and-comers.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Sanford and all of Team Hard Drive.
Mm-hmm. Are there a lot of big guys out there, or are you mostly working with, middleweights, welterweights, kind of guys like that?
Mostly we're in light heavyweights, middleweights. Got a couple of heavyweights that come in. I drive to Iowa City to spar with a heavyweight, and I'm finding partners.
Mm-hmm. Who are some of the coaches there that are helping you?
Keone Cokes, the head coach here at Hard Drive, and then I got this guy. He's from Morocco. He's a kickboxer, weighs about 230, helping me out. His brother was on the Moroccan national team, kickboxing team, so a lot of knowledge there.
Mm-hmm. I know you're originally from Iowa. Is that where you live full-time, and you just, when you do your camps, you go down to Florida, and you're just staying with some guys from the team? How does that work?
No, I was living in Florida where I was with American Top Team, which I still, I'm still affiliated with them.
Right.
I just, under circumstances with my family, my daughter, I had to be up in Iowa for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, were you familiar with that gym before coming there, or was it just something where you had to go back up to Iowa and that was the right fit for you to go there? Was there a relationship there before coming there, or was it just something where you had to find something?
I had trained with Hard Drive before I left, before I moved to Florida. I swear, first started mixed martial arts, I started with Team Hard Drive. So I have some friends here. Steve Carl, who's fighting in the main event World Series of Fighting.
Right.
He's going to be fighting Berkman.
Right, for the title.
On the next one, I think. They just announced it. I saw it on Facebook.
Yep, for the title.
So, for the title,
For the belt.
So he's one of my best friends. I've known him forever. I started MMA. He helped me get started in MMA. And then I just made the decision 3 years ago to move to Florida. And then under some circumstances, I had to move back. And then recently, in this last year or so.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to be cornering you for this fight?
Steve Carl is going to be out there with me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. You're going to be taking on Hollis Gracie. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
I think he's got great jiu-jitsu. Really good jiu-jitsu guy. He's got some experience. I think he's 9-1, 8-1, something like that.
Right. 8-1. Mm-hmm.
8-1, yeah. So he got some experience, but he's pretty one-dimensional in my mind. I don't think he wants to fight. I think he wants a jiu-jitsu match.
Mm-hmm. When you're training with the guys that you've been training with, have you mostly been working the submission, defense game, or have you kind of just tried to work the, takedown defense and try to keep it standing? What more have you been working, not giving your game plan or anything away, but... I've been
doing a lot of my kickboxing with Coach O, and we've been working a lot of that. Been doing a lot of sparring, so I've been working a lot on my stand-up. Man, listen, I've been wrestling my whole life, and I still wrestle every day. He's not taking me down, so that's that. He's not going to take me down. I'm going to beat him up on the feet.
Mm-hmm. I see. So basically, it's not a secret that the game plan is for him to get you to the ground, and your game plan is to not go to the ground. Is that basically it?
It's no secret. And if it does go to the ground, it's me on top.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've watched video of him. His submissions are when he's on top, head and arm.
Right.
Rear naked choke, him setting things up.
Mm-hmm.
But not saying he's not dangerous off his back, but if he's on his back, I'm in a more advantageous position to do what I want to do. I can stay out of submissions on top. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want him on top of me. So.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you made the announcement before you signed with World Series of Fighting, but the press release that I got that said you signed with World Series of Fighting said it in it, so I don't know if it came before the signing or when you did sign with World Series of Fighting. You made the announcement that you were going to be fighting at heavyweight now, that you were not going to be fighting at light heavyweight anymore. Just curious, why did you decide to go from 205 back up to heavyweight?
Well, I'd always been at 205. I fought a little bit at 85, and then I fought mostly at 205 most of my career. I'm getting older. I wouldn't say old, but I'm
right.
It's a little harder to make 205. I'm just filling into my body. I really think I'm like, turning 28, I'm like really filled out, and like if I hit, I've been hitting the weight room. It's just natural. It feels natural to be a heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what are you walking around at right now?
250.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the weight you're going to fight at?
Yep.
You won't?
I'll weigh in around 245, 250.
Okay. And it's just basically, hitting the weights hard and just, letting your body take over. You haven't really had to do anything to kind of bulk up to make yourself, a solid heavyweight. It's just come natural to you?
Yeah, like I haven't really done a whole lot any different. I've lifted the same amount as I lifted all the time. The only thing different that I've done is I haven't cut a lot of weight, I haven't focused on cutting. I've just focused on, instead of going home from the gym and being like, well, I can have this protein shake and, this much chicken and broccoli, I can go home from the gym and, have, a good meal, good healthy meal that, like, I'm energized for the next morning's workout.
Mm-hmm. When you were cutting to 205, was it, rough for you, or was it just a normal cut and, maybe you were a big 205er who had to cut a little extra, or was it, killing yourself to make that weight?
No, I wasn't killing myself to make that weight. It wasn't way easy, but it wasn't, I've seen people cut, way more, way harder. Like, it wasn't hard for me. It just felt like a natural fit to move to heavyweight right now.
Derrick, do you work a second job, or are you a full-time fighter?
I work. I'm a bartender at a bar here in town.
I see. And just curious, how did you get started in mixed martial arts?
I just finished my sophomore year in junior college, and my high school wrestling coach hit me up and was like, man, have you seen this stuff on TV? This is like the stuff you guys used to do in the backyard. You should really try this. So I got a hold of Chad Bergmeyer, the local promoter here, one of Monty Cox's guys. Mm-hmm. He runs Iowa Challenge and stuff. And I begged him to put me on the card. And I fought my first amateur fight, and me and my high school wrestling coach went online and were just practicing jiu-jitsu moves. And that's how I got started. Just throwing into the ring.
Mm-hmm. That's very Evan Tanner of you, watching stuff on TV and just self-teaching yourself.
Yeah, it was interesting. And then after that, I got hooked up with Team Hard Drive, and so it was good.
Mm-hmm. When did it sink in that this is something that you can pursue, and this is something that you can make a career out of? How many fights into this were you?
I think it was like right when I started. Like, I had wrestled my whole life. I went to junior college. I All-Americaned. I walked on at Iowa and was there for the one season. And after I blew my knee out, was expecting my daughter. I just never really thought of like myself as a business world or working. You know what I mean? I never looked past wrestling. And then I found MMA, and I was like, wow, this is the key. This is what I want to do. This is what I've been doing my whole life. Why wouldn't I keep doing it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like in high school, people were like, well, what are you going to do when, after college? I'm like, I don't know, wrestle.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, MMA, here it is. This is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever any thought, maybe if MMA didn't exist, that you would try to go the pro wrestling route? Was that something that you had ever thought of?
Not really. I've always enjoyed watching it. I've actually funny you say that. I've recently thought of that in the last year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe doing some side wrestling to see
mm-hmm.
what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, the caveman thing, you could have played that up. That could have been your
right?
stick. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to look into that a little bit more.
Yeah. Just curious, how did you get that nickname, Caveman?
Man, dude, I walked into American Top Team, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was me, I just moved down there, it was me, my girl, and my daughter. And so I walk into the gym, I have this shaggy long hair, and at the time, my tooth was missing. Mm-hmm. And I walk in, and Coach Conan was standing there, he's like, man, who's this fucking caveman? Oh, excuse my language, sorry. Sure. And it just stuck ever since. So the minute I walked in, there's guys at American Top Team that don't even know my name. They only know me as Caveman.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was interesting. Yeah, so the day one, Conan's like, man, look at this Caveman, and it just stuck. It never left.
Mm-hmm. Was there any other nickname that maybe your dad gave to you, or some of your friends in high school? Was there ever a nickname that if your coaches never said, hey, Caveman, it would have been something else that you would have went with?
No, I I would never have had a nickname.
I see. Now, Derrick, not that it matters that much anymore because you got this great deal with World Series of Fighting, but you fought twice for Strikeforce, once against Roy Jones and then the other time against John Vellante. You were 1-1 under the Strikeforce banner. Just curious, why didn't you continue on with Strikeforce? And second, was there any disappointment that, maybe you couldn't continue to fight for Strikeforce and then eventually make that jump to the UFC?
Well, the last fight, the San Jose card where I fought Vellante, I think there was only one more show after that, or that might have been the last Strikeforce show if I remember correctly. And no, there was one more.
One more, yep.
And yeah, so, I knew there was a chance I'd get cut only because after I fought Roy Jones, I went and fought in this promotion in Texas against Rodney Wallace.
Right.
And lost the decision, which I feel was pretty controversial. But, so I knew going into the Vellante fight, even though my record in Strikeforce was 1-1, I lost one in between,
That was going to be my next question, the Rodney Wallace fight, because that's something where you had asked to get released so you could take that fight. So you feel that that's the reason why, because you said, hey, can I go take this fight? And then they were able to grant it to you, and then you came up short in back-to-back fights. You feel that's the real reason?
Yeah. Sure of it. I'm sure that's the reason.
I see.
It was in my own hands. Like I was confident enough to ask for a one-fight release, and I knew going into the Vellante fight, I knew that it was win or go home pretty much for me. They weren't going to let it. That's going 0-2. Even though it's not 0-2 in that promotion, that's still 0-2 for 2 fights in a row. So
right. I understand. Just curious, what went wrong for you in the John Vellante fight? Because that's your most recent loss, and since then you've looked really good, 3-0 since then, 2 finishes. So what went wrong for you in that fight, and what were you able to learn from that one?
I was just too hesitant. I just stayed back too long. I tried being a kickboxer with him a little bit too much. If you see, I tried a couple takedowns in the first and the second, but nothing too crazy. I let him dictate the. He rocked me in the first and knocked me down, I think. Fought back from that, and then after that, I didn't really press the action. You see in the third round, actually one judge scored for me in the third round. In the third round, I pressed the pace, came forward with flurries, and then I took him down with 30 seconds left. If I would have done that in the first 2 rounds, the fight might have looked a little different if I would have pressed my takedowns and pressed the action a little bit more.
Possibly were you a little bit hesitant in those first 2 rounds because of the situation you were in, where it was basically, if you win, you stay on, and if you lose, you go home? Was that something that factored in?
I don't know. Yeah, it might have been. I put that on myself, though, so no. I just didn't perform well. I just did not perform well. I started slow, didn't press the action. So I don't think that had anything to do with it. I just think I just underperformed.
Oh. I see. Now, these 3 fights that you've had since being released from Strikeforce or fighting out your contract, whichever way you want to put it, have these all been at 205, or have they been at heavyweight, or has it been a mixture of both?
It's been a mixture. The first one was at heavyweight. Second one I cut to 205 and it ended up being at heavyweight because it was a last-minute opponent change. And then the third one was at 205.
I see.
The most recent one.
Derrick, on September 14th, how do you defeat Hollis Gracie?
TKO. Whenever I see the opening, it's over.
Sounds good. Derrick, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
No, man. Just tune in September 14th. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a good show.
Derrick, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck September 14th at World Series of Fighting 5 against Hollis Gracie.
Thank you.